You have to be able to stand on solid ground, going against the grain with things that are socially not accepted, especially when you are ahead of the time, when you're thinking into the future, when you're visionary, when you're doing things that are not socially accepted. Yet, if you're 10 years ahead of the time that you're living in your mind, you won't find many people that actually understand your thought process, where you want to go and who you are, and they don't have to. But if you want to do that, it can be a lonely route. So make sure that you get to a point where you really know yourself, your weaknesses, your strengths, and you become authentically yourself. It doesn't matter if you talk to a beggar or the king of a country. You're always the same person.
Hello, welcome to a new episode of my podcast Venture Growth with Leon Eisen. Today, we meet with incredible woman. She is entrepreneur, founder, change leader, International Leadership Award nominee and receiver. She had about 21 international award and nomination. She is a co-author of very interesting book, actually bestseller book, Success Mindsets. And she is a peak performance advisor working with companies in combined wealth of $250 billion. So please meet Sharesz Wilkinson.
Hello. Hi, Leon. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hi, Sharesz. Thank you for accepting my invitation to participate in this podcast. Because, I didn't meet before such successful and visionary woman like you who created incredible business, incredible network, and continue to thrive and make difference in our world. So, before we start, would you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. What would you like to know?
How did you start to think such globally? Or maybe, I have a very specific question.
Okay.
You have numerous awards and business and social awards and nomination. What is your core message that creates such incredible vibe?
Okay. So first of all, who I am, I'm a mom of 2 kids. That's the most important one.
Yes.
And they're now 25 and 26. And we have been traveling and living all around the world while they were growing up. So that's where the internationality comes from. I'm originally from Switzerland, and the vibe that creates this ripple effect is, for the last 20 years, I have been working with leaders in key positions to create change top-down, one leader and their team at a time, and letting it ripple through organizations, companies, and entire nations. So I've done that in the background, very quietly in that sense, but somehow if it has impact and value, it's going to ripple through. And the idea of what I do is actually has very little to do with myself in that sense. It's more about where's somebody at, where would they want to go to as a company, as a person, as a team, or an organization, and what do they want to achieve moving forward, creating the future that we want to live in. So instead of focusing on the worst possible scenario, I always focus on the best possible outcome and how do we create that, and then deliver on it. And the entire process that entails the steps to do just that has been developed over the last 35 years through extensive self-exploration, travel, studies, philosophies, religions, cultures, languages, name it. it's been a very interesting life for sure, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very interesting. So let's dive a little bit deeper in your achievements. And what just piqued my interest and piqued my attention is you are collaborating with Cartier. Could you elaborate a little bit about it?
Oh, that just popped in like literally a few days ago. So I'm still exploring myself, what it entails. I don't think it's directly with Cartier. It's in collaboration with Cartier. It's called Redbox Me. It's a new platform where thinkers, scientists, leaders, or just change makers can apply and sign up to collaborate and exchange ideas to move the world forward. And it's a very enjoyable experience because there is no sales allowed whatsoever. So it's like social media before digital marketing happened.
Wow, very interesting. So,
Yes.
how long time this society exists, a community?
That's a very good question. If you look it up online, it's called Redbox Me in collaboration with Cartier. I would actually have to look it up myself. I'm not quite sure. Let me check.
Because Cartier is something about jewelers, and now they're talking about some social issues and changing our world for better, right?
So the person who is supporting it is actually the CEO of Cartier. He stands behind this. And he's actively and proactively supporting and interacting in the platform as well. In terms of, I think Cartier made a very good marketing stunt. They wanted to establish themselves as a company moving forward in a very proactive think tank space. And let's see where this goes. I'm actually just a part of it for the last 1 week. It's too early to say for me, so I cannot make any judgments. If anyone wants to look it up, look up Redbox Me in collaboration with Cartier online.
Yeah.
Do your
Sure, definitely.
invitation only. So I don't know based on which criteria they invite or don't invite people, but just apply, see what happens.
You know, thank you. That's really interesting, and I should have to read about it a little bit more. Let's talk about the book that you participated in writing one of the chapters, and book called Success Mindset. So could you share your experience and your thinking about what does it mean to have success mindset? Because you have this.
Well, I created it. I didn't always have it in that sense. So, okay, let me think for a second how to answer this question best. Do you want to hear first about the book or success mindsets in general?
Let's talk about the book and its success, because this book is just reflects success mindset, and success of this book reflects this.
Yes.
So, yeah.
The book itself is a collaboration of multiple authors together who wrote each a chapter regarding what it means for them to have a success mindset, how they got where they are today. So it's an interesting read in terms of stories, backgrounds, as well as trajectories that people went through to become successful. And in terms of my own experience, I had a car accident when I was 26 years old and 100% invalidity. I had to let go of everything I knew up to that point. It's like somebody put TNT to my life and it was just in shambles and rubbles. And then how do you recover from that? Obviously not overnight. It took me 26 years and countless surgeries and a lot more self-development to come back to a point where you learn that you actually have the power to create the outcomes that you're looking for. Not limitless power. I'm not an egomaniac or something, but you really have a choice in what you focus on, how you direct your actions toward a tangible outcome. So this has nothing to do with, people always ask me manifestation and positive affirmation. No. This is literal science-based re-engineering of how the brain works. And the way to do that, it's a very consistent process of first of all, becoming aware of who you are, where you're at, why you're there, what's the background, the history, multi-generational wise, what are the patterns and the repetitions in it. And once you become aware, once you accept what is, then you become able to change it. Not before. As long as you fight circumstances, in terms of you don't want to take a deeper look what is happening, you will not be able to direct a different outcome. For me, it took countless doctor's visits and hospital visits and everything else until I one day realized, unless I step up to the plate, nothing is going to change, because everybody told me you're going to be a vegetable for life. You just have to accept it. And that came from specialists, right? And I was like, I didn't do all the things I've been doing in my life. I was an athlete. I was highly motivated, driven, ambitious all my life. I started ice figure skating when I was 4 years old. And not by choice, obviously. At that age, you don't make these choices. But it continued, right? And I spoke multiple languages. I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. And then suddenly somebody puts the stop button and you're told that forget about all this. It's never going to happen. So now you have a choice, right? Accept it or you don't. And in my case, I was like, watch me. I don't care if I'm going to be 90 years old, but this is what I'm going to do in the future. I don't care when it is and how it happens, but I know it will happen eventually. Because I consistently, on a daily basis, took actions towards that, whatever that was. Be it physiotherapy, be it this, be it that, surgeries, whatever. I was traveling the world looking for solutions. Now you're telling me, obviously not everyone can do that. When I left, I had 2 small children, a bad health, and very little financial resources. So I wasn't a multi-millionaire or something like that. But when you come to a point where you have nothing to lose, you have everything to gain, right? It takes a lot of courage, but more than that, it takes real faith and trust in life that you know what you don't want, so go somewhere to create what you actually do. And if it's not in circumstances that you're in, or the country that you're in, or the environment that you're in, then you have to leave that country, that environment, those circumstances. Go somewhere else and find a favorable environment, favorable circumstances and places where you can do the things that you want to achieve. Obviously, that's not going to happen overnight either. I had to start over 3 times from scratch. And you just keep going, because giving up is not an option if you have to raise children. I always used to say it's like the Titanic sunk and now you're swimming in the sea with 2 kids on your back. You have 2 choices. You drown, you sink, you drown, or you swim, right? In my case, I told myself, you better start swimming, right? With whatever strength you have, even if it's very little, but keep yourself afloat somehow.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And I can tell you, to find yourself, usually people get through the button and just recognize and get aware about themselves. And this becomes the starting point to grow. And so you have so amazing drive. I don't know. I have to learn from you how to drive all these things together. So now I understand. I just look at all your awards. It's amazing. It's amazing. So what you achieve. So it's just
of what I have been doing. I was not looking for this kind of awards. Usually people always told me, when you focus on your work and you just put your head down and you do step by step every day what you're supposed to be doing to reach specific outcomes. And here I'm not talking about ambition. I'm not talking about becoming a millionaire, multimillionaire. No, but really serve the environment in a way that when you have lived, it mattered.
Yeah, so we're talking about recognition. This is very important.
And transcending the pain, and everyone has pain, everyone has a story, everyone has hardships in their life, but we do have a choice. How do I deal with it? Not immediately, right? of course, there were many times I was really down. I had no energy. I couldn't even move. I couldn't even do anything for a long time. But who do you want to become? And what do you choose to stand for?
Yeah. Many successful people have very difficult time behind. And this is what I learned from podcast I'm doing. So when I meet successful people, the first thing I'm thinking, what they went through to become so much successful.
No one does that.
How they build their muscles of success.
Yes. I think nobody goes through hardships by choice. It's really, when I work with clients, I do a lot of mentoring, success mentoring for multinational family offices, for very successful people to level up to the next stage they want to be at. And I always tell them that the direction you're going in is really intrinsically linked to the person that you are. And I just said that like 2 hours ago to one of my clients. She asked me, why is it important to know myself? Well, out of 8.2 billion people, there's only one you. At this moment in time, we still don't clone people, thanks God. So there's really literally one of each on this planet. And it's a mind-boggling thought, because not two fingerprints are the same, not two voices are the same, not two irises are the same, not two characters are the same, even if they're twins.
Yeah.
If you do not step into the space that you were supposed to fill by being born, no one can do that for you. Nobody else can claim that space for or from you. So if you don't do anything with it, it's a waste of, in my eyes, lifetime, energy, resources, everything. Now, certain people believe in karma, right? And the idea is that you're reborn until you learned your lessons. Right. But just the thought of, okay, I'm here now, I do myself, I'm hedonistic, I just want to have fun, I want to enjoy my things, I want to buy great stuff, and that's about it, right? How scary is the thought to have to start all over, not having learned the lesson? And most likely next time it's not going to be as comfortable as it is now. I don't know. It really depends on your cultural beliefs, background, your spirituality, your faith. Even an atheist has faith. You cannot deny what does not exist, right? By definition. So what are your values? What are your beliefs? Which ones are taken over from society, family, tradition? And which ones are actually yours? Which one do you choose to live by because they make sense to you? Not just because it's a habit or because you inherit it kind of from your environment. Very, very few people ever ask themselves these kind of questions. And for success engineering, what you ask me, success mindsets, these are absolutely relevant questions to ask, because if you do not know who you are, how can you fulfill the role you were supposed to have or your purpose? Now, many people say, I don't know what my purpose is. Okay, that's like driving blindfolded in the dark during fog on a highway.
Right.
Where do you want to go? Who do you want to become? What do you want to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? Where is this going? What's the purpose? Is it just having fun? I mean, that's legitimate if you want that, but at least choose it, right? Don't just let it happen.
Yeah, and we come to the mission, because what is your mission? Actually, everything comes from the mission. You should identify a mission and your purpose then, and just to stay with your mission, like a filter. If you go just out of the road, your mission will tell you, okay, now we are somehow in a different direction. So back to your mission. So what is your mission?
My mission?
Yes.
I set that mission when I was 17 years old, and I was watching TV at the time, before internet and everything else, and I was watching Cry Freedom, which is a movie, a very, very good movie about that apartheid system in South Africa. And having grown up in Switzerland, very privileged, being a woman, being white, coming from a wealthy family, well-to-do family, very smart parents in that sense, I was really shocked because I was not exposed to these kind of things. I grew up in a village, somewhere in the countryside. And for the first time, it really hit me how unbelievably unjust, unfair, and horrendous circumstances can be in other places. Now, again, remember, that was before internet, that was before multi-channel television. We only had 3 national TV channels. You barely ever saw any foreigners at the time, me growing up. I'm not that young anymore, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And that had an absolutely profound impact on me. And I really made a promise. I don't know if it was, in my case, to God or life or the universe, or whatever you want to call it nowadays. But I said, every single day I'm alive and breathing, I'm going to promise to make a difference. I will not be a bystander when things happen that are not right. I will not keep silent when things go wrong. I will not just put my head into the sand when injustice is happening. And I've lived like this ever since. So over 37 years, it piles up, you know. It's a long time. And it's not like I'm going to go out and change the world. That was never the idea. The idea has always been, what can I do today in my immediate environment with who I am right now, where I'm at, and the means I have to make a difference in someone's life. And the difference means things as small as holding the door open, saying good morning, giving a smile, carrying the bag for somebody, helping someone to pay a school fee or whatever, you know. But within my means, the possibilities that I do have and the power that's invested in me through that, what do I choose to do with that? Do I just turn a blind eye and pretend it's not there? Or do I actually create these ripple effects? And the beautiful thing today about social media, when you go on YouTube, now there's a lot of videos where they make these reels, where one person helps another person, and then in return, they help the next and the next and the next, and then they create this storyline of how good actions ripple through. Not just with the person you actually helped or did something for, but it goes infinitely through.
Yeah. This is what I see in LinkedIn all the time. So people teach others and others teach others. So it's like a chain of
in reaction, yeah.
Yes, in reactions. It looks amazing and it works. It really works.
So when you're asking me, how do I always have so much energy despite everything else that has happening, that's the reason why.
Okay,
Because
that's amazing.
It's never been about me. It's always been about the impact and how do we move societies from where they are at to where they can be. And throughout my entire career and lifetime, since I was a kid actually, I always strove to improve things, leave things better behind than I encountered them. And it doesn't mean better in a plushy, sugar-coated way. It means in a real way. Is there progress? Is there learning? Is there an advancement? Is there an epiphany, an insight, growth? Does it lead to more of it? Or so it doesn't just end with that one person, right? So I've been a member of Rotary for many years. We established a Rotary Education Fund in Malaysia at the time, and supported kids from destitute families, but super smart. And instead of just giving money, we actually instilled, and I insisted on that, the mentorship concept. Now, 15 years ago, that was quite revolutionary in that sense, right? But I said, you can't just give someone financial means and they are not in a successful environment. That's like throwing water into a hot pan. It's just going to evaporate on. So what you need to do is you have to provide a trained mentor, not some random person just because they're successful. No, a trained mentor providing insights, conversations, support and collaboration, helping that youth to role model what it looks and more importantly, what it means to be successful, right? Looking successful is easy. There's lots of it on social media nowadays, but when you start scratching underneath the lacquer, most of the time there's not a lot of substance there, right? So what does it actually mean to be these things? It's very different from appearing to be.
Yeah, so to be successful, it means to show the impact. The question, how to find some metrics of the impact. So metrics of success is impact. Like, the difference between wealth and rich people. Wealth people who did some impact, and rich people just have some money. So here the same. So if you are successful, you should show what kind of impact you did on your on your society. It could be small community, it could be whole world, it doesn't matter. What matters is an impact. So what is your metrics of success, specific metrics, maybe one or maybe three?
For myself personally?
Yes, of metrics of your impact.
1 second. Impact or success? Which?
So I said that it's actually the same, because success, it's not said, but success is a function of the impact, what I think.
Not necessarily. No, there's people that are very, very happy, fulfilled, and in their own right successful without having a big impact. So they're happy living their lives, focusing on their own family and working on having fulfilling relationships within their circle without ever going beyond that.
Yeah, but they have impact on their circle.
Yes. So are they successful or are they not successful? I would say they're very successful, right? So the definition of success is very individualistic, I think. It depends on your value and belief system. For some people, successful means you have to drive Aston Martin, you have to live in a huge villa, you have to travel to the Maldives, Ritz-Carlton for a holiday, and you have to have, I don't know, $100 million invested somewhere in some project, right? That's successful to them. That's their benchmark. For someone else, it's like, I have my health, I'm able to buy healthy food and nutrition, I have great relationships with my family and my children, and I do every day what I love to do. Now, on the outside world, am I successful? Maybe not. Depends on the benchmark that the people have, right? But in my own right, if somebody thinks like that, if they feel fulfilled, happy, prosperous, wealthy, successful, what else do you want in life, right?
Yeah, right. But sometimes people, successful people, not happy, and happy people are totally not successful. But sometimes I also against that some happy people not successful. They're happy, and this is their success.
I think I have traveled and lived in many different countries, and some of them third world, as we say or said at the time, third world countries with really big poverty. And I lived in the middle of it. So I actually really stayed in a fisherman village somewhere. I don't want to say where it was, but in very, very humble circumstances. And we had an open house, an open door. I was a part of the community. We were invited for weddings, birthdays, celebrations, and everything else. And nothing was ever stolen. I didn't have much either, but I remember for lunchtime, my kids brought home neighborhood kids, and they came really from families that didn't eat for 2 or 3 days, right? And I never knew how many people are going to show up, and I myself didn't have much at the time at all. I mean, really not at all. And I just put some more water into the soup and some more pasta and stretched the table and put some more plates. It was about shared experiences, and the community. And this has been one of the richest times in my life. I'm not idealizing poverty or anything by any means, but what I mean is your circumstances are defined by your mindset. You can be in horrible conditions in a hospital dying and still feel very blessed, depending on what you're focusing on, right? So you can be, and this is not theoretical, I've been in that situation. You can either focus on, oh my God, am I going to die? What's going to happen? You can freak out and think it's over. Or you can focus on, wow, I'm so blessed. I'm in a place where they have the specialists and the doctors that are able to deal with this kind of circumstance. Although I don't know the outcome, what's going to happen, but I trust and I believe in the best possible outcome.
That's amazing. So much wisdom. And thank you very much. We're going to wrap up our conversation. So what's your message to young entrepreneurs and maybe people or guys who are going to succeed in their life? And what's the core message to these people?
Okay, so being a mentor for startups and with National University Singapore and Singapore Mentoring Committee and a lot of other things, there's a certain topic that pops up all the time. People want to change the world in an afternoon. And especially with the Instagram generation, it has to happen here, right now, in this moment, or not at all, right? This is not how life works, no matter what the media, marketing, and everything else is telling you. I suggest take a pot, put in some earth, plant a seed, and make that seed grow. And see how long it takes. I mean, it depends on the plant you're choosing, but go through that process of experiencing nature in action. And see how long it takes to germinate, to actually grow a seedling, and then for that thing to grow into a bigger, stronger plant and maybe tree. It takes decades. It doesn't take a day or 2 days. And when you're planting a seedling, you're not going to dig up the earth every 10 minutes to see if it has grown, right? Because you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
That directly translates to projects, companies, careers, anything you really want to do in life, relationships. I think patience is a real hard thing to learn, because especially I don't have any myself. But this is really advice that I would like to give, and I actually have given. And by the way, to executives of companies, plant the seed and see what happens. Can you keep it alive? Can you learn enough to know what it actually needs to grow? And that directly translates to a company.
Yeah, exactly. Company reflects the leadership style, usually.
And then a few more things is learn communication skills at a deep level. So be able to have meta communication, which is communication about communication, know the terms and conditions, the psychology behind it. There's ways to do that. And self-regulation skills. And again, there's a process to it, which can be applied in a systematic framework that helps us to become aware of where we're at, why we're here, what we want to achieve, with whom, how long it's going to take, maybe how much it's going to cost, why do we want to do that in the first place, and then what's the next step, right? So it's a very systematic approach to analyzing situations, conversations, meetings, people, contracts, negotiations, anything like that, to cover the basis in terms of getting the facts and the figures together. Don't act based on emotions. It's a very bad thing to do. Really make a point to go to the source, meaning don't listen to friends and family and this and that. Go and see a lawyer. Go and talk to a specialist. Go to somebody who has achieved what you want to achieve and ask for their feedback. Now, the immediate reaction people have, I don't have the money. You don't need the money. You need relationship skills. You need relationship building skills. What is the value that you're going to bring to the table for the other person so they're actually interested in talking to you and having a conversation? So as you can see, it's very little about me. It's everything about who is your listener and what can you contribute to them and how can you give back? How can you make a difference?
Yeah, right, exactly. Sharesz, thank you very much for such an amazing conversation, such a deep wisdom you shared. I really appreciate you coming to this podcast, and I think people will appreciate it as well. Thank you very much, and have a great time on what you are doing today, all amazing things you are doing. And actually, you have amazing impact on the world. You get to the level where you have impact on the whole world today.
I forgot an important point.
Yeah.
None of all this I've done by myself. So you will encounter at any stage of your life people that will teach you in a good way or a bad way. Either way is good. You will connect to networks and organizations that can move you forward. So how do you leverage that? And every time you have to level up to the next stage, you most likely won't be able to take the people with you that have been a part of the prior stage because they don't have to and they cannot follow you. So you have to, if you want to keep growing, you have to constantly find a new tribe. And this is very scary to do, and it's hard to do, and you have to really become comfortable with being in your own presence. You're the only person you're with from the cradle to the grave. No one else. And if you can't bear to be with yourself in a room for one day without distraction, music, video games, online games, whatever, movies, just sit in silence and try to be with yourself for a few hours. If you do not manage to reach that stage where you're capable and able to do this, don't even try to go for the next thing to be successful because the foundation is not there. You have to be able to stand on solid ground, going against the grain with things that are socially not accepted, especially when you are ahead of the time, when you're thinking into the future, when you're visionary, when you're doing things that are not socially accepted. Yet, if you're 10 years ahead of the time that you're living in your mind, you won't find many people that actually understand your thought process, where you want to go and who you are, and they don't have to. But if you want to do that, it can be a lonely route. So make sure that you get to a point where you really know yourself, your weaknesses, your strengths, and you become authentically yourself. It doesn't matter if you talk to a beggar or the king of a country. You're always the same person.
Thank you very much. It was incredible. Thank you. Have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, Leon.
Bye.